Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Masters of Travel Advisor series. My name is John Werner. I represent a network of over 200 travel agencies with over 1,000 travel advisors, primarily in the Midwest, but also scattered in different parts of the country. And our network of agencies and travel professionals specializes in vacation travel to all parts of the world, and from luxury travel to expedition travel, and handling just about every country on the globe that people want to travel to these days. And I have a special guest with me today. His name is Glenn Eastwood. And welcome, Glenn. And I would like you to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you do for your company, Hurtigruten.
Well, hi, John. Thank you for the introduction and thank you for having me here. My name is Glenn Eastwood and I'm Business Development Manager with Hurtigruten Expeditions, and I cover the Eastern United States, traveling the U.S. to educate travel advisors and consumers on Hurtigruten Expeditions, expedition cruising in general, and just building brand awareness for this incredible product that we have.
That's wonderful. And one of the reasons why we're talking today is that Hurtigruten has really grown over the past several years, and so many wonderful destinations that your ships take travelers to, expedition style cruising. And so we want to get into that today. And so we should start by watching this short 2-minute video about what your company is all about, a great overview. That's wonderful. That's a great introduction to Hurtigruten and expedition cruising. But perhaps you can tell us a little bit more about the differences between an expedition cruise versus a regular, a traditional cruise that people might be thinking of taking. What would you say are the real standout type of differences?
Well, that's a great question, John, and I absolutely love that video. It really showcases our product and the destinations that we visit. And if you notice, we're taking you to places from that video where no one else was. And that's what we do with expedition cruising. We visit we discovered rarely visited remote places all over the world. These pristine, untouched, and uninhabited destinations, places that you really only see in documentaries on the Discovery Channel or National Geographics, and we take you there. And how we do it is with a combination of our unique vessels and our unique style of cruising with expedition style cruising. And that's where we go to these places and we launch our smaller rib boats, these inflatable rubber Zodiacs that we get into from a water level platform that pulls down from the side of our ship. That's kind of like a floating dock. To safely get you in. And then once we're in, we zip off on an adventure. Depending on where we are in the world or the weather, you might get to do a landing or a scenic cruise, even an ice cruise. You're venturing off this to some of these most incredible places in our world. They're once in a lifetime experiences that we get to visit with expedition style cruising. We do it with a focus on conservation, on science, on education.
Yeah, that's what I think of too. It's about nature, culture, like you said, science, history, wildlife. It really touches all of those key points that your people going on a Hurtigruten sailing. I mean, that's what they're looking for. And I think too, one of the other things that really stands out for me as to what makes expedition cruising different, and especially what makes Hurtigruten different, is that you have a handpicked team of expedition experts. They're with the guest every step of the way, keeping everyone safe on landings, revealing details, facts, stories that enhance the sense of wonder. And each team member brings decades of experience to your expedition, and they come from all over the world. So they're just a walking treasure trove of fascinating facts and charming stories. And I think that makes a big deal on a trip like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Our expedition team, they're the heart and soul of any Hurtigruten expedition. They're authors, research scientists, professors, adventurers, and they're really experts in their field with years of experience. They all have degrees or something in their background that makes them an expert in their field. On my expedition, we had 27 expedition team members on my expedition to Antarctica. 7 of them had PhDs, which is just incredible. It's a wealth of knowledge, and these people are lifelong adventurers. They're there to not only keep you safe, they're all trained in polar survival, and they have expedition training from IATO and IACO, which are the governing bodies that regulate tourism in both Antarctica and the Arctic. But they guide your experience on land through different activities. We have geologists, glaciologists, ornithologists, marine biologists on board, and they'll have different things that you can do when you're on land or when you're in the water on a Zodiac cruise, but also on board the ship too. We have them posted on our observation decks, forward and aft, so you can go whale watching or bird spotting right from the ship. And then they also guide lectures while on board too. And the lectures are some of the most engaging and entertaining lectures that I've ever experienced. Because we're going to talk about the things that you're going to see during the day. So it's really immersive, a completely immersive experience. And I'm not somebody who runs home and turns on the Discovery Channel. I do appreciate a good documentary, but I found myself glued to every lecture while on board. I was in every one. I couldn't miss one, and they were really entertaining. And that's just a testament to our expedition team. We always say that we entertain you through edutainment,
Yeah.
And that's what we really do. You will not go bored on a Hurtigruten expedition.
Yeah.
There are plenty of things to do, and really fun immersive experiences, and it's all thanks in part to our incredible expedition team.
Yeah, it just sounds so amazing and it's very wonderful. And so you mentioned the polar regions of the globe, but Hurtigruten goes all over the place, all over the globe, in Galapagos and around South America. And so it's not just the polar regions, but even some of the tropics around the equator. And so how do you get into these places? What is what is unique about Hurtigruten, and how you set up your itineraries that allows you to get into some of these remote places that no one else goes?
Yeah, a great question, John. Well, one, Hurtigruten, we've been doing expedition cruising for a very long time. Our first expedition cruise was up to Svalbard, all the way north, well above Norway, up above the Arctic Circle in the Arctic tundra where the polar bears are. And we did that in 1896. So we've been doing polar expeditions for over 125 years. And we've since expanded our operations. Of course, we do the polar regions. Svalbard, we still visit every summer. Iceland and Greenland. We do the Northwest Passage across above Canada. And we also do Alaska, which is an incredible destination for us. We do the Antarctic as well, in Antarctica, where we are the largest cruise line with 3 ships this season, but next season we'll actually have 4 ships down there. And then we do some of the tropical regions like the Galapagos, where we have a ship there year round, and the West Africa, Cape Verde, Bisagos, Canary Islands. So we do have some great destinations, but we can visit those destinations in ways that others can't, because in part from our small ships. Our small ships are purpose built. Our smallest vessel is 90 passengers. Our largest vessel is 500 passengers. So much smaller than the larger cruise ships that you think of when you think of cruising. And they're purpose built for the destinations that we're visiting. All of our ships that are in the polar regions are icebreaker class ships. So they can break through first year sea ice up to 1.5 meters thick. So almost 5-6 feet thick ice it can break through. Which is really incredible. They built with the expedition launch, which allows us to get these smaller zodiacs, as you see in this picture, to get us out off the ship with the use of these small zodiacs. And then also it's to our experience, our experienced expedition team, our experienced crew and experienced captains, our experienced officers, and our experienced expedition itinerary planners that know where to go, that know how to get the permits. In some places like the Galapagos, where we partner with Metropolitan Touring, who has over 70 years of experience in the Galapagos. So we're grandfathered into some of those permits in those locations and the times. So we make sure that we're getting there at optimal times to see the wildlife. So it's a combination of all of these factors that we really can that we can attest to our experience in our 125 years visiting these types of destinations. We are the experts in expedition travel, and it really shows when you get on an expedition with Hurtigruten.
Yeah, Hurtigruten does have some excellent travel partners around the world in these destinations who also are experts, and they know their regions inside and out. And but let's talk about the physical nature, or the physical activities of going ashore, doing some of the shore excursions or the activities that are offered. Just how physical is it? And really, let's give a sense about abilities to enjoy these destinations.
Well, that's probably the number 2 question I get asked right after how do you pronounce your name? Is it super active? Is this something I'm going to be able to do? Having been on our expeditions, there was actually a gentleman on my Zodiac group, and we put everyone into groups. So you'll be on the same kind of Zodiacs with everyone the entire trip. And there was a gentleman in my group, his name was Bob. He was 87 years old, and he had all of the mobility restrictions that you would expect from an 87-year-old. But he was out on every landing, every scenic cruise. He was in the Zodiacs, and he was able to do it with relative ease. And he was able to get out and to do it. And as you see here, this woman who's a little bit older, and we attest to that. There's a few things that allow us to be able that allow people that have a little bit more mobility challenges to be able to get out and do it. It's the way we launch. We have a very unique Zodiac launch that I think we might have some pictures of coming up in a few minutes, that folds down to sea level from the side of the ship and almost acts like a floating dock. So you can easily step into the Zodiac. And then we have our trained expedition team with 2 members on the Zodiac and 2 members on the platform to guide you with that sailor's grip, where you grip the forearms and help you in and guide your shoulders to get you into the Zodiac. And I always say, if you can step into a bathtub, you can step into a Zodiac. And it really is, that's really what I equate it to. And then once you're safely in the Zodiac, from there, it's easy. You zip off and we have ropes to hang on to, and we have, we secure your feet, and the Zodiacs are very stable crafts, and we zip off and we do a landing where we pull the Zodiac up. And if it's a really calm beachy area like this, just kind of slide your feet over and the team will help you get off the Zodiac. Or if it's a little bit rockier, we'll put out a little staircase and we'll help you down and we'll guide you down off of the Zodiac. So it's something that I think people with a little bit of mobility, challenges, if you walk a little slower, that you'll be able to do this. I feel very confident with that. There were people, of course, Bob, who was 87. There was also a woman who was 92, and she didn't get off for every landing. She was there with 4 generations, so it was a big trip for her. But she wanted to get out once, and she was able to get off. And there were people in their 60s, 70s with varying mobility restrictions that were able to get out and do those landings. And then once you're off and you're on land, you can be as active. You can do as much or as little as you want. There are opportunities to go out for light hikes, even more intense hikes, and we provide the equipment. We provide the hiking poles. We'll provide the ice grips. I always forget the name of those things you put on your boots if you need it. We give you those muck boots as loaner muck boots. So we have all the equipment for you, but you can get out and maybe do a light hike. You can go view wildlife in different areas with the ornithologist, or go out with the marine biologist, go out with the geologist or the glaciologist, which was super fascinating to see how old some of this ice is. Or you could just kind of stay where the Zodiac launched. And that's what our friend Bob did. He got off the Zodiac and he didn't really walk too far. And at every landing, there were hundreds of penguins. And Bob just wanted to observe penguins. And we would go out and maybe do an hour and walk around and come back, and Bob would be there. And Bob, how was it? Oh, it was incredible. You should see what this penguin did, and you can see how they interact. It's just simply fascinating. So you can really do as much or as little as you want, and you're going to have an incredible time on our expeditions because of the places that we bring you. We put you right in the middle of where the wildlife is, where the action is, where the incredible scenery is. We get you right there. So there's no, docking in a touristy town and then taking a long transfer over. Because of the way we get to these destinations, we're putting you right in the middle of the action.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, especially for anyone with some physical limitations, but because they can enjoy the amazing destinations, and they're right there in the heart of it. And I think that's also one of the reasons why Hurtigruten is the experts in expedition cruising, and another testament to your team members that not only they have the wealth of knowledge that we've talked about, but the fact that they care for the guests so well, and make sure that everybody's just having an amazing time. So let's talk about, a few minutes ago, we were talking about just getting into those remote areas and going to places where others ships and are not going. And so we'll focus on Alaska, because Alaska is another really big destination for American travelers. And they but you get into there. Well, we could talk about Ketchikan as an example of where Hurtigruten takes you and why that's so important for the experience, the Alaskan experience.
Yeah, so we take you away from the places where the others go to. We go where the others don't, and we get away from the more touristic areas of Alaska, of the Inside Passage, the places where the other ships are, with our unique itineraries. First we have itineraries that explore places that other ships don't. Like when you see the picture in the bottom right corner where we have our pink ship all the way up at the top. We have itineraries that go up through the Bering Straits, all through the Aleutian Islands, out where they film Deadliest Catch. These really remote, uninhabited islands and areas that are national parklands, that are rich with wildlife and brown bears and bald eagles, where no one else goes to, no other cruise ships go to. So we have itineraries that get you out there, but even in the areas where we go that maybe are a little bit more touristic, like a lot of people know Ketchikan as a cruise port in Alaska, has a max capacity of 4 cruise ships. So on any given day, there could be 4 of those large cruise ships that have 3,000, 4,000 plus passengers on board, and that's quite a bit of people. You get off and you're in, it's a beautiful town, but it has its touristic elements. There's a Diamonds International there, and it's not so probably what a lot of people would think of when they think of Alaska. And with this example in the top left corner, we have our pink ship on the other side of Ketchikan, on the back side of the island. We go to that area because, one, we're away from the touristic area. We're away from those kind of big cruise ships and all the tourists and the over touristic destinations. But we go around to the backside because it's absolutely spectacular. And when we get to the next slide, we'll get some reasons why. Because it's an absolutely credible destination with waterfalls, beautiful mountains. We get out with our Zodiacs. We do landings. We do some scenic cruising. And here's some of the pictures here. And this is what you see when you get around to that other side. And that's why we go to this place. You're not going to see this when you're on a big cruise ship. You're not going to see this. So we get you to the real authentic destination, the off the beaten path parts of these destinations. And Alaska is that prime example where we get you to where the others don't. But we do this in every destination that we visit, where we get you away from the places where if it is a place where there are other tourists or other cruise ships, we get you away from those places. And we get you to places where you don't have to get off and do an excursion where you're taking a 45-minute or an hour-long bus ride to get to a national park. We're taking you right to the middle of the national park with our unique small ships and with our unique Zodiac landing crafts that we can get right into these destinations.
Yeah, it looks just phenomenal. Such a spectacular scenery and destinations. So, well, let's also talk about, we've been talking about destinations, but let's also talk about the onboard experience and what the staterooms are like, any onboard amenities, certainly the public spaces. And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, first we have 6 ships in our expedition fleet, ranging anywhere from 90 passengers to 500 passengers, with our 2 newest vessels, the Amundsen, which was launched in 2019, and the Nansen, which was launched in 2021. So our 2 very new vessels, and they all have their own unique character on board. And they are very spacious, very comfortable ships. Once upon a time, you were sacrificing some of the creature comforts of home, even with Hurtigruten. If you go back, 10, 15, 20 years, the onboard experience in the cabins and, just the amenities that we have on board now, we didn't have back then, and none of the expeditions lines did. You were sacrificing some of those creature comforts of home. That's not the case anymore. Our ships are very modern cruise ships and similar to what you'd expect on a premium cruise line, but in a much smaller format, kind of maybe similar to what you'd expect on a European river cruise from amenities on board and cabin qualities. But our staterooms are beautiful. They're spacious. As you can see here, these are real pictures that I took. So not photoshopped or anything like that, but you can see Scandinavian design, soft lighting, warm woolen blankets, the natural timber finishes. It's really a home away from home. And the bathrooms, very spacious. They have heated floors on our 2 newest vessels. And I started my career as a travel agent, and I have had the opportunity to go on quite a few different cruise lines. And I must say that we, Hurtigruten, on our 2 newest vessels, have the largest showers that I've ever been in at sea. So which is handy for someone like me who has a little bit broader shoulders. So they're very comfortable staterooms. On the Amundsen and Nansen, half the staterooms have balconies, which is unique to expedition cruising. Also makes it a more cost-effective way to get into a balcony than some of the other expedition lines that are out there. Because we have so many expedition cabins, it's not that much more of an upgrade. And you might say, why do I want a balcony in Antarctica or in Alaska? Well, we're going to places that are so rich with wildlife. Every time you step on the balcony, you're going to see something. And that was the case when I was in Antarctica. Every time I stepped on the balcony, I saw a penguin swimming through a water, or a seal, or a whale, or birds. It was incredible that I would get bundled up and go out and brave the cold and stand on my balcony for hours. So it is something that's important, and because of our comfortable, spacious designs and these cabins, it's something that you can do. That wasn't the case years ago. So when you think of expedition cruising, you may think of those cramped cabins without the comfortable bedding and the comfortable amenities, but we have that on Hurtigruten now, and that's through all of our vessels, and that design continues throughout the ship as well. We have that bright Scandinavian feel, and we have a lot of great areas. Well, first of all, we have a gym, very well equipped, a beautiful gym you see there in the bottom right. We also have a sauna that I actually spent a lot of time at. I wasn't a sauna person before I started working at Hurtigruten, but as you see, you have that beautiful view out the window, floor to ceiling windows there in the sauna. It's a great place to sit and relax, especially after you just were out on land in a place like Antarctica or Alaska or Iceland or Greenland or Svalbard. We have our a hot tub to every vessel. On the Amundsen and Nansen, we actually have 2 hot tubs, and they're elevated. So if people are out on the observation deck, you can go sit in the hot tub and get a view over top of their heads and watch Antarctica or Svalbard or the world sail by. We have a heated infinity pool that's always heated to 80 degrees. We have a beautiful explorer's lounge, and this picture doesn't do it justice because it's really about 5 or 6 times the size of what you're seeing in this picture, but comfortable couches, floor to ceiling windows, cozy spaces to curl up and read a book, grab a included hot chocolate or espresso drink, a cappuccino that's included with your cruise fare from the explorers, from the bar right around the corner. In the evening, we'll have a fun lecture. They call it the wrap-up bites, and we also have usually a musician on board. When I was in Antarctica, we had an Argentinian pianist who played some great tunes and provided the entertainment every night. So a great place to relax and also break out board games, interact with the other guests that are on board. So really comfortable space. So as you can see, maybe not what you're expecting from an expedition cruise. It is very comfortable and with a lot of those modern amenities. And of course, the star of the show is our science center. You see the pictures of our microscopes there. We have a vast state-of-the-art science center where our expedition team members will actually collect samples while you're on land, bring them back on board. So maybe plankton samples or rock samples, various things, and you can analyze them with not just the microscopes, but other equipment that we have throughout the science center. We have interactive screens so we can see different things about different areas. So it's a really cool area. We also have bone clones too, so we can see kind of some of the different species that we're going to see in the areas that we're in. So just another place to gather, another place to learn, and just another place for our expedition team to entertain you through education. So that's some of the amenities that we have on board our ship.
Yeah, I would agree. I happen to have had an opportunity to be on the Roald Amundsen, and I was amazed. I had the cabin, the staterooms are on the luxurious side, and you're on an expedition ship, but yet you're not forsaking comfort and luxury, and the science center is truly amazing because I've never found anything like that on any other cruise ship, and it's a lot of spaces actually was on that particular ship anyway. A lot of space was devoted to the science center, so it was an amazing place to learn and talk to the team members and the scientists on board. But speaking of not forsaking, comfort and luxury, the culinary experience, and certainly expedition cruising does not mean you have to forsake great cuisine and culinary wine and cocktail experiences. So I know that, food is locally sourced from farms, local producers, bakeries, craft beer breweries. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we're on board. We like to think we're a premium experience. We're not quite luxury to that luxury standard, and we're also not as pretentious as luxury can sometimes be. We don't have a dress code on board. We say the dress code is expedition casual, which basically means we want you dressed, but we don't really care what you wear. You're not going to find people really dressed up. You're not going to find. You don't need a sport coat to dine in the dining room. You don't need to wear a fancy dress. You can leave your heels at home. We want you to be comfortable, but we have a very premium setting, and that extends to the food on board too. The food is incredible on board, and I mentioned that I've had the experience to sail on many cruise lines in the kind of standard, premium, and luxury space. And I will argue that I'll put our food up against any of them. Truly, our food is incredible. And John, you mentioned our food is locally sourced. With Hurtigruten Expeditions, 85% of our food is sourced locally from the destinations that we're visiting. And that does a few things. One, it reduces transportation emissions, and we're big on sustainability and doing everything that we can to leave a lighter footstep. And by sourcing locally, that helps with that. It also allows us to understand where we're sourcing our food, and to get a better feel for the cultures that we're visiting, to taste the local beer from the places that we're visiting, and the local cuisine, the local fish, local meats and cheeses. So it helps us with that, to have a better understanding for the places that we're visiting. And it's also incredible. Local food is good food. It's much better than, packaged food that's shipped from, place to place, that's stored on board. Fresh local food is incredible. And that's what we're going to serve on board. And depending on the ship that you're on, we're either going to have 2 or 3 restaurants on the Amundsen or Nansen, which is our 2 newest vessels. We have 3 restaurants. Anna, which is our main dining room, and that's where you're going to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's served there. Breakfast and lunch will be buffet style. Dinner will be served a la carte. And all of your meals are included on your voyage. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner is included, as well as an early riser and an afternoon treat. We include coffee, tea, and waters always available. So your coffee, we have coffee stations. We have 1 coffee station located in the Science Center, and then we have water stations on every floor by the elevators. So you can get that 24 hours a day. And then when the Explorers Lounge bar is open, and when the main dining rooms are open, you can get espresso drinks, cappuccinos, lattes, hot chocolates. That's also included. Juices are included with your breakfast, and a house beer, wine, and soda is included with lunch and dinner. So we really make it a full experience. Now, if you're somebody who enjoys cocktails or a more premium wine experience, we do have full bars, so you can get premium, scotches, whiskeys, martinis. Those are available, and the costs are reasonable. As somebody who lives in the metropolitan New York area, for me, the costs are reasonable, but we do offer an optional drink package as well, if you wanted a fully inclusive experience. That ranges for about $50 per person per day. And the venues, as I mentioned, Anna, the first one I mentioned, which is the photo you see here in the bottom left, that would be our main dining room. My favorite restaurant, however, is the photo you see in the top right. That's Friedheim. Friedheim is our more casual restaurant that's open from noon to 9 p.m. every day, serving what I call upscale pub fare. That's where you're going to find burgers and the famous Friedheim hot dog, steaks, salads, quesadillas. We're famous for our milkshakes and our hot dogs. But you have that in a incredible food, some of the best burgers I've ever had. My colleague raves about the hot dogs, and yes, it is a very good hot dog, although I'm not a hot dog person. Best milkshakes that you're going to find, certainly at sea, and just a really great setting, a really casual setting with comfy areas to relax. We have lounge areas through there where we have couches, so you can just go in and grab a milkshake and sit and relax. And that's come as you go from noon to 9 p.m. And certainly, like I said, my favorite of the restaurants. And then we have Lindstrom. Lindstrom at the bottom right picture, that's our premium restaurant. That's included for passengers that are staying in our suites and our mini suites, where you can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner served there. And the food is absolutely incredible. But if you're not staying in a suite, we do offer dinner in Lindstrom for a $25 per person upcharge. And it's well worth the $25 per person upcharge. The food there is absolutely incredible. I had a 6-course menu with premium wines for $25 per person. It's a meal that in New York would have been $200 a person easy. So and it's on the 10th floor. So top deck, the view from up there is absolutely incredible. So so those are our culinary experiences. Those are our restaurants, but the food is absolutely incredible on board.
Yeah, no, that sounds wonderful. And I know the chefs are inspired by the gastronomy of the region that you're visiting, and they use adopt traditional cooking techniques. It's all part of the experience. So I would agree with you that upcharge in the Lindstrom restaurant is where you'd really get an experience like that, and it's just so worth it.
And also one of the reasons to book into a suite too. Our suites are not too much more, and that's one of the benefits that you get to booking in one of our mini suites is Lindstrom for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
It's a great point to make. And so, speaking of some of the the pricing and the costs and so forth, I think one of the other things that Hurtigruten offers solo travelers, that the single supplement is waived on probably hundreds of sailings when you consider across the globe. And so tell us a little bit about that. I actually noticed there was one itinerary that caught my eye, and you had mentioned earlier in the conversation about Svalbard. And so there's this itinerary I see that starts in Bergen, Norway, goes all the way up to the very northern part of Norway, like the North Cape, I guess you could say, of Norway. And then, of course, you've got this time, several days spent in Svalbard. So anyway, that looks like a really affordable itinerary for solo travelers. And so tell us about your solo traveler program.
Yeah, so we have a great solo traveler program where one of the few, if not the only cruise line that does it, certainly one of the only that I know of, where we every month at the first of the month, we post a list and we publish that out to all of our travel advisor community so they can easily access it. That has all the sailings that we're offering at a waived solo supplement. So that means we're not charging an additional supplement. And a lot of times when solo travelers travel, as you solo travelers know, you're going to pay, sometimes double the price that you would pay if you had a roommate going with you. Our solo supplements are lower just in general. They're 150% of the cruise fare, so you're not paying double, but you are paying more. But we publish this list at the first of every month that has sailings. It goes out for about 9 or 10 months in advance, so you do have to book a little bit sooner in. We don't have this for kind of like 2 years in advance, but we post quite a few itineraries that we're going to waive that solo supplement on. So you're going to pay the same price that somebody would pay as an individual who's sharing a room with someone else. So that's incredible value, and it's combinable with all the sales that are going on at that time too. So you really can get an incredible rate on some of these. And John, as you mentioned, our Svalbard Express on our Hurtigruten Norway sister product, that's an incredible itinerary that does the round trip itinerary is 15 days from Bergen, going through the inside passages through Norway to the Lofoten Islands, to the North Cape, and then up to Svalbard, where you get a taste of Svalbard. Not quite the same as we do with Hurtigruten Expeditions, where we have some circumnavigation itineraries, that are also, as I see on this list, we have some wave single supplements on. Let a good taste of Svalbard and then come back down through Tromsø, the capital of the north, and then back down through Norway, through some of those spectacular fjords. It's a really incredible itinerary. And with the Wave Solo supplement and some of the promos that are going on, you can do that for around $2,500 per person, which is a really incredible rate. But we do have Wave Solo supplements on some of our other itineraries. Just glanced at the list, and if you're looking for last minute travel this summer to Alaska, we have some great itineraries that are on the Wave Solo supplement list. We have Antarctica on the Wave Solo supplement list. We have quite a few Galapagos itineraries on the Wave Solo supplement list. And we also have some Svalbard expedition travel if you want to get up to see the polar bears on our Wave Solo supplement list. So quite a few opportunities for your solo travelers to get an incredible deal to get out and experience some of these destinations.
Yeah, so wonderful, and definitely wonderful opportunities. So Glenn, I guess, we're getting close to the end of our conversation. Well, let's wrap up talking about sustainability. And I know on your website, it says, sustainability is in your DNA. And so tell us about that. We have a 3-minute video too that we're going to show about your sustainability initiatives.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. As that slide showcases, we are at our core, we're explorers. We believe that exploration is crucial as it educates us and gives us a better appreciation for the places that we visit. We hope to create change agents though through exploration. Be people that want to come back, that see these things, that will see climate change firsthand, that see the effect of trash in the ocean firsthand, and want to come back and make those little steps. And we believe that it is our responsibility to explore, but to explore in the most sustainable way possible. And if possible, to make these places better from us being there, rather it be immediately while we're there through organized beach cleanups, like you see in this picture with some of the destinations that we visit, or through our guests coming home with a newfound appreciation for the places that we're visiting. Want to take those small steps in their daily life to make these places better. So that's the number one thing that sets us apart as a company, sustainability. And as this slide shows, it's in our DNA. We are part of Green Alaska, Cleanup Svalbard, and these organizations, but that's not where it started. The sustainability for Hurtigruten started, decades ago. Because early on in our operations, we saw the effects of climate change and pollution on these fragile destinations that we were visiting. So we've taken a ton of steps to be a more sustainable company. We're proud of the progress we've made in a wide range of areas, but we're just not stopping there. We have a ton of initiatives to come. One that we're very excited about is we just announced our C0 initiative, which we made plans a few years ago to come out with the first zero emission ship by 2030, and we just announced the kind of next stage in the development of that with the university, where we laid out our plans. We put out artist renderings of what the ship will look like, and we're getting to work to take that to the next phase. So we are on track to have a completely emission-free ship sailing by 2030. So that's the next step that we're taking. But we've already taken a ton of steps. So first, it's in our ships. Those two newer vessels that I mentioned, the Amundsen and Nansen, those were the first hybrid electric cruise ships. Those are both hybrid electric cruise ships. The Amundsen in 2019, the Nansen in 2021, the world's first hybrid electric cruise ships. So they are powered, they're traditionally powered with, however, cleaner fuel, but they have a hybrid battery supply, which allows us to run about 20% more efficient, use about 30% less fuel. It also allows us to run quiet, which is really cool when we're in places where there maybe are whales. For example, when we were in Antarctica, we actually shut off our engines and we're able to run the entire ship on our batteries. And we can do that for about an hour. And the cool thing with that is, the vibration from the ships usually scares whales off. But because we turned the engines off, we were completely silent, ran the HVAC and the electricity and the propulsion and everything. The whales didn't swim away from us. In fact, they swam up toward us because they were curious, which was really cool that we were able to do that. And then also, you don't think of the white noise that those engines create, but when you turn off the engines, it's just eerily silent, especially in a place like Antarctica. So that's something unique that we can do with those vessels. We were the first cruise line to have hybrid electric technology. We also upgraded three of our vessels, our existing vessels, to hybrid electric technology too. And then we have a ton of other initiatives too. We first cruise line to eliminate single-use plastics. We did it in 2014 before it was cool. We also have the sustainable food that all of our food is sustainably sourced. We have our Green Stay program. Really a lot of things that we're doing in the realm of sustainability.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Well, let's roll the video.
All the choices you take in your life will have some sort of impact, in one way or another. Throughout our more than 125 years of operation, we have witnessed the impact of climate change on vulnerable areas. Coming from Norway, a part of the world blessed extensively with pristine nature, pure water and clean air, we value what we have and want to keep it that way. This is why we made some fundamental decisions on how we operate years ago. We are here to raise spirits for good. For whom, you might ask? Our answer will be for you. For the people living in the small communities we visit. For wildlife, nature, and the environment. Yes, we are talking about sustainability, and we take this seriously. We want our expedition cruises to create change agents for sustainability, and we use traveling and knowledge sharing as our tools to make that happen. This is why we have adopted the UN Sustainable Development Goals as our guide to offer you sustainable expedition cruises. Our long heritage of exploration, both as a nation and as a company, creates a living legacy for today's expeditions. Through the history of mankind, going on an expedition has always been about broadening and expanding horizons. We believe that that is true for today as well. Our goal is to boost and then satisfy any curiosity and knowledge you have about the destination you visit, be it its nature, wildlife, climate changes, history, or culture. We will give you authentic experiences of a destination, and to do so, we have expedition teams on board all our ships. These are experts, authors, researchers and adventurers, handpicked for your expedition based on the destination and their specific skills. They invite you to participate in in-depth lectures and interesting activities to gain a greater knowledge of the regions you explore. And they do so with enthusiasm and passion. We think that witnessing the beauty of our planet is sure to leave a lasting impression on you. And you'll talk enthusiastically about these stunning destinations with friends and family for decades to come. To make sure you can speak informatively when you return home, every one of our cruises has a focus on the environment. It is our hope that engaging with nature on our expedition cruise will inspire you to do all you can to cherish and protect the precious world we all share. In short, when you choose to go on an expedition cruise with us, you are setting a new, more sustainable standard for expedition travel.
Well, that's just truly amazing. It's very spectacular. So, thank you so much, Glenn, for this time this morning and sharing the Hurtigruten story. Is there anything else that you would like to add about the destinations and just the whole Hurtigruten experience?
Well, thanks for having me, John. It's really been a pleasure. I love that video. Every time I watch it, I need to go on an expedition. The part with the penguin popping up on the on the ice chunk. It just made me think, a lot of times you see these things in videos and photos, and you're like, is that what it's really going to be like? Or, oh, they just have a film crew. No, that's actually what it's like. I thought that a little bit myself before I went on one of our expeditions. And those are the things you see. You get off and there really are penguins there. There really are brown bears as soon as you step off in places like Alaska. You really are going to get up close to, most likely, of course, we don't guarantee anything. Wildlife is wildlife. You're going to get up close to this wildlife. You're going to see bald eagles in ways that you've never seen before. You're going to see whales in ways that you've never seen before. You're going to see be on a zodiac and be 10 feet from a leopard seal that's looking at you like you're its next meal. Or you're going to see a penguin pop up on an ice chunk. You're going to see a male penguin pick up a pebble and walk it over to the nest of its mate, like you'd see in a nature documentary. These are authentic, immersive experiences that'll leave you changed. They're transformative experience. You'll come back with a greater appreciation for nature, for the cultures and the destinations that we visit, the small towns and communities that we visit. These are really transformative experiences and really incredible places. So please, get out and see these places. And Hurtigruten expedition is it's an incredible way to do it.
Yeah, it's so wonderful. Transformative is a great word to describe the whole experience, and that's one of the reasons why people travel. And so thank you again, Glenn. Really appreciate it, and I'm ready to go too.
Let's go. Thanks for having me, John.
All right, thank you.